Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 19, Text number 8. Uhu sarvarasannadhyaha Kshiradadi annagorasan Taravo bhuri varshamanaha Prasuyanta madukchataha. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The flowing rivers supplied all kinds of tastes, sweet, pungent, sour, etc. And the very big trees supplied fruits and honey in abundance. The cows, having eaten sufficient green grass, supplied profuse quantities of milk, curd, clarified butter, and similar other necessities. Purport. If the rivers are not polluted and are allowed to flow in their own way, or sometimes allowed to flood the land will become very fertile and able to produce all kinds of vegetables, trees, and plants. The word rasa means taste. Actually, all rasas are taste within the earth. And as soon as the seeds are sown in the ground, various trees sprout up to satisfy our different tastes. For instance, sugarcane provides its juice to satisfy our taste for sweetness. The oranges provide their juices to satisfy our taste for a mixture of sour and sweet. Similarly, there are pineapples and other fruits. At the same time, there are chilies to satisfy our taste for pungency. Although the earth's ground is the same, different tastes arise due to different kinds of seeds. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. I am the original seed of all existence. Therefore, all arrangements are there. And as stated in Ishopanishad, Purnam Idam, complete arrangements for the production of all necessities of life, are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should therefore learn how to satisfy the yajna Purusha, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Indeed, the living entity's prime business is to satisfy the Lord, because the living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Thus, the whole system is so arranged that the living entity must do its duty as constitutionally made. Without doing so, all living entities must suffer. That is a law of nature. The words Taravo Bhuri Varshamanaha indicate very luxuriantly grown big-bodied trees. The purpose of these trees was to produce honey and varieties of fruits. In other words, the forest also has its purpose in supplying honey, fruits, and flowers. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, due to an absence of yajna, there are many big trees in the forest, but they do not supply sufficient fruits and honey. Thus, everything is dependent on the performance of yajna. The best way to perform yajna in this age is to spread the Sankirtana movement all over the world. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we see how the Maharaj Prithu's yajna performance of yajna brought about abundance of all the needs of the human being. Abundance of varieties of foods of various tastes, fruits, honey, milk, curd, clarified butter, and the cows had plenty of grass. So, these things are the result of the performance of yajna. As we explained yesterday, the best form of yajna is Sankirtana yajna. And though we don't see with our eyes, there's a cause-effect relationship that produces the positive effects of abundance in this material world. Generally, from our science point of view, everything we see only gross cause effect. I push this table, it moves, and there is a law for that. And science has today almost successfully codified the last 200 years, at least the gross motion, the laws of gross motion that is operating within the physical realm of this material world. But beyond the physical realm, there is the personal realm, the realm of persons. Modern science doesn't study persons. Persons do not constitute in their filtered world. Persons' interactions, personhood features like thinking, feeling, willing, though we are seeing everywhere around us, there are persons with personhood features like desiring, thinking, feeling, willing, doing. So the science has no answers today. The world view of the science is limited to physical cause-effect, which is a true aspect of reality. It's one slice of reality. From our childhood, in our education system, we are trained to see only this aspect of reality. But that is not the only aspect of reality. We all know, because we live moment to moment, everywhere around us, there is a personal reality. There are persons, there are interactions within persons. There is persons whose characteristics Yeah? Just like the physical reality, in the physical reality, they say that the elementary particles, they build up the physical universe. And in the process of studying, they have seen the characteristics of, fundamental characteristics of property like mass, momentum, and their kinetic energy, potential energy. So exactly in the same way, in the material world in which we are living also, there is this personal world, personal reality. In fact, physical reality serves the personal reality. My body serves me. I am a reality. My desires are another reality. You are a reality. Your desires are another reality. Your chittam, thinking, feeling, willing, is a reality. Unlimited personalities and unlimited persons, desires and whatnot. Who is studying that? Modern science. Out. Anything that is not within the purview of my five senses, it is not science. But we have the spiritual science. Not even we say that material energy itself has a gross slice of reality of Panchabhuta, but also there is a subtle slice of reality of the elements of ego, mind and intelligence. And that is the personal world. Personal reality consists of the personalism in this material world. It is not that only you see Panchabhuta everywhere, we experience only Panchabhuta, but we experience a personal world also. So that personal world is the subtle body. And subtle body consists of, just like Panchabhuta, my body consists of a portion of the Panchabhuta, that is universal Panchabhuta. Everywhere there is Panchabhuta. Out of that Panchabhuta, a portion is, I call myself as me. Or a portion of it is under my control in the form of this body. Earth, water, fire, air, ether is all there. This body is made up of. My world outside is also made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. Exactly in the same way, there is a personal world. I share the universe's one small chunk of ego, intelligence and mind. You share another chunk. But it is not that ego, mind, intelligence only in you and me and everywhere. It's everywhere. Just like Panchabhuta is everywhere. That is called the universal mind, universal intelligence, universal ego. Bhagavatam describes that, Sankhya philosophy describes that. So as much as there is a true gross energy is a truth, is a reality of this world, today's science is very immature in understanding even material energy, because they limit to only these 5 elements, and as far as those other aspects of, the personal, you can say mind, intelligence, ego, when it becomes personal. The world of persons, science doesn't study. Now spiritual science goes beyond that. They say that this ego, mind and intelligence is an imitation ego, mind and intelligence. Artificial ego, artificial mind, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence you already know. Now they see that there exists artificial intelligence. Technology has just accessed it, that's all. It is artificial intelligence, of course, very small part. The universal intelligence is much, much more powerful, because it is running the universe. It's an intelligence that runs the universe. The intelligence that runs the atom, that runs the entire movement of everything. When a scientist discovers something, he's actually discovering the existing knowledge. Big theories, physics theories, all these things. They're only discovering it. It was already there. Just like simple, if before Newton's law of gravity, gravity was already acting. Gravity is already acting. Before he classified motion, laws of motion, Newton's laws of motion. It was already there. He discovered means in the subtle form, it was always there. Not only that I'm saying grossly it was there. In the subtle form it was there, and therefore it was operating. All physical laws are existing in the subtle plane of universal intelligence. And we just discover it. So seeing the material world, now seeing the material world as gross world, is like seeing the material world with our senses, gross senses. When you meet a person, you see more than the gross body, because you see the person. Your eyes do not see any person. Your gross eyes do not see any person. But you see a person, and you interact and talk. So that subtle world of ego, mind and intelligence is also part of our body. We have a subtle body, we have a gross body. As spiritualists, we not only start, when our consciousness becomes fine, we not only seeing ourselves and others as gross body and subtle body, as not only as gross body, but also as subtle body. And even further than that, when our consciousness becomes finer, Finer means what? Sattvic. Sattva-guna means our consciousness becomes capable of seeing finer truth around us. Not just seeing gross things. They see how the mind works, how one's own mind works, one's own intelligence, it works, all those things he observes. And finally, one sees that when one is blessed by spiritual knowledge, then he sees that I am a real ego and this is a false ego. This false ego is a role play of my real ego. My real ego is real mind, real intelligence are of another character than the character of false ego, this false mind, artificial ego, everything. It is different. This is part of the external energy of the Lord. A imitation body, mind, intelligence is provided. An imitation of a spiritual body, spiritual gross body, spiritual subtle body is prepared by material nature. Because the spirit person who is beyond subtle body and gross body, spirit person, and that's me, that's you, the spirit person. And that spirit person, because of his particular kind of desire that cannot be accommodated in the spiritual world, which can be fulfilled only through this material world. What is that? There are two kinds of experiences the living entity can have. One experience is about Sattva, Chitta and Ananda centered around Krishna. Centered around the pleasure of Krishna. That is constitution, spiritual constitutional position. That is one kind of consciousness. It's a choice of the spirit person. The spirit person can choose either that kind of consciousness or can choose self-centered. Spirit person is a person, either Krishna-centered or self-centered. No Krishna in the picture. But either way, the instinctual hunger of the spirit person is for Satrasa, Chitrasa, Anandarasa. Every living entity, from microbe to everybody, the entire universe, persons are running after these rasas. Existence, knowledge and bliss. Either they want, the nature of spirit is eternal existence. Eternity, knowledge and bliss. They want eternal experiences. They want eternal knowledge experience. They want eternal love experience. They want eternal sense pleasure experience. We are just describing, the Shastras are just describing the truth, the reality, temporary reality and permanent reality. When they say that the nature of the soul is Satchit Ananda. So as our consciousness becomes finer and finer, then we see that you don't see the world simply as bodies. Illusion is about, in the material world, in material life, illusion is about, what does illusion mean? Seeing a snake as a rope, rope as a snake. So illusion in this material world is about seeing something which it is not, which you expect it to be, or which you think it is. You are seeing a rope and you know about a snake. It looks like a snake. So that effect you create, rope is not changing anything. Rope is rope always. It may coil like a snake. Light may be very less. Semi-darkness. That is nothing to do with the rope. But you as a perceiver, when you see the rope, you perceive it as snake. So that's called illusion. So illusion is not outside. Illusion is about, because both are satya, both are truth. In truth there is a snake, in truth there is a rope. Not that illusion means you create something that doesn't exist. Nobody can create anything that doesn't exist. Seeing one thing for the other in your mind. If there is a real snake there, you see it, there is no illusion. You see a rope as a snake, then that is illusion. So, the biggest illusion, a spiritualist, when he practices Krishna consciousness, when he chants Hare Krishna, when he touches continuously the pure Chitta, Chitta Vastu, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Chitta Shakti, it starts flowing into the heart of the sadhaka. And his illusion slowly dissipates. What is that illusion? Example is rope and snake. What is a common illusion we are all in? What is the foundation of illusion? Yeah, I am this body. And seeing others as body. Which is not truth. Even right now it is not truth. When you are saying I am the body, it is not truth. You are not seeing the total reality. What is the total reality? I am not this gross body. I am this, a portion of my present self is this gross body, whom I think as self today. That itself is wrong. That itself is incomplete. I have a mind, I have intelligence, I have a subtle body. I have got many, many egos inside in my chittam. Chittam means subtle body. So this subtle body, we see gross body, then we see that there is subtle body, and then we see there is spirit person, who is actually transcendental, who is Kshetrajna, who is a knower of both this physical and artificial personal reality. There are two material realities in this world, physical reality and artificial person reality. We operate in this world through the element of ego in this material world. Whether it is tamasic ego or rajasic ego, sattvic ego is a different matter. We cannot, the spirit person cannot put his fingers into this material world other than through different personas or different role play. The spirit person has got the capacity, eternal capacity to do role play. That's also not very difficult to understand, because every day here within the relative reality we are having so many role plays, is it not? Even if you think you are the body, then with your children, with your daughter, you have a role play. With your son, you have a role play. With your wife, you have a role play. With your employer, you have a role play. With your friend, you have a role play. How many egos are there? How many relationship egos are there? They are all sitting in your chittam. And we form and break personas. Just like you never had a friend and you create a friend. Then in your chittam, one friend is created. Friend slice is created. It was not existing before. You never knew that person before. But now you have. And you go on relating and deepens. Your ego deepens. Friendship ego deepens. So in this way, we have the spirit person. Actually, we don't realize that. When our consciousness becomes fine, then we realize these things. That actually these things are happening in us. But these are all there. So we create so many personas that they come and go. We are carelessly or unconsciously we are managing these personas. And when our spiritual consciousness starts becoming finer and finer, then we can also start managing these personas. So that is the science. That is the science of controlling the mind, controlling the ego, using egos. Just like a child, somehow he gets, by circumstantially due to his karma, it gets into his head, I want to be a pilot. Even a small boy, I want to be a pilot. Now if it doesn't strike him, gone, that is gone. Suppose it strikes very nicely. One pilot impressed him, his father's friend, pilot. And he sees so many desirable things in him. I also want to be a pilot. So he created an ego slice. Then he cultivates that ego slice. All things favorable for that. Buys a small mini airplane. Asks his father, give me an airplane. Then he imagines flying that. Correct? So he actually becomes a pilot also. Where did it all start from? He created a persona of being a pilot, a role play. So material world is full of role play. What is the purpose of role play? Purpose of role play is the spirit person through role play extracts his believed Sat Chit and Ananda. That's all. Ultimately it is for that. It is for the benefit. In the material sphere, Sat is power, Chit is knowledge, and Ananda is love and sense pleasure. That's all. Existence is all about only that. So that Sat, Chit and Ananda, that the living entity is seeking in this material world, we can observe that we are seeking it through creating different role plays in the form of false egos. A false persona is called false ego. I create a persona of being the temple president. That is not false ego. It can be false ego also. Whether it is a false ego or a pure ego does not mean it is your real ego. Whether I am a temple president or I am a sense gratifier, both are, there is a persona that is material energy is facilitating any type of ego that you want. That ego is purer, it may be pure, means false ego itself can be tamasic to sattvic. And sattvic, you can say it is purer ego, purer role play. So if, as a temple president, behind it, temple president means certain actions, right? In the outgoing actions. If those are being performed for self-interest, it is called false ego. When I perform those activities purely as a servant of Krishna, then that's a purer ego. That means I operate in this material world. Devotees operate in this material world in different role plays, which is not their spirit person. Their spirit person is in the role play as servant of Krishna in this material world. So the servant of Krishna ego that we now are asked to practice, that is not equal to my real ego, but it's a role play. But that will awaken my spirit person's real ego. That is called sadhana bhakti. That is why it is not, I may in a very spirited way, in a pure way, in a particular circumstances, only for Krishna, like that I will work as a servant of Krishna. But at the next, if you are not awakened your real ego, you will not be consistent. Next, another ego will come, old ego will come, enjoyer ego, and you will engage in self-centered enjoyment. So a sadhana bhakta, slowly he purifies. His devotion service initially is mixed with both self-centeredness and Guru-centered, Guru-Krishna-centeredness. It is mixed. Because you are coming from 100% self-centeredness to, I have surrendered to Prabhupada, I am serving Prabhupada and Krishna. Largely, yes, when you have dedicated your life, all your work is centered around Krishna-centered. But at the same time, there are old sense enjoyers who have a different idea of what this body is for. So he tries to extract Satta, Chitta, Ananda, Rasa from this body, from other bodies. So as one's consciousness, more and more one associates with the holy name of the Lord, it's a very natural thing that happens, is that this taste goes, taste of being an independent enjoyer goes. Not only it goes, you start disliking, disgusting, and start liking and relishing the ego of being a servant of my spiritual master. Sadhana means in a disciplined way, you cultivate this ego that I am a servant of Krishna by actually acting as a servant of Krishna morning to evening. So we see how we are seeing the total reality. I started with this. Let me complete this. The perception, where is the illusion in our spiritual life or in this material life? What is the biggest illusion? Is to see spirit persons as this body. Very easily, technically, you say bodily concept of life. But be more accurate. You are spirit person. But I don't see you as a spirit person. I see that the body as a spirit person. Actually, the spirit person is animating the body, but it is not the body. The burning bulb is not equal to electricity. Bulb is the persona. But that persona is acting like a person because of what? Electricity. What is that electricity? The spirit person. So Krishna says that pervades this entire body. The soul, the spirit, that consciousness energy. So we start seeing, we start changing the perception of the world, ourselves as well as other people. If I go on seeing the world, if I as a spiritual person who's made progress in spiritual life, if I see the world of people as bodies, as people who have not touched spiritual life, they see, what is the difference? What is the progress I made? No progress. We see greater truth, wider truth than what normally materialists see. So as we practice our spiritual life, by the mercy of the Lord, we start seeing the exact how this mechanism is working. People is a gross body. There is a chittam and there is a spirit person driving. Plus there is super soul. What is his role? It's all given in Bhagavad Gita. So how we see people is the first clarity of illusion. You come out of the illusion. That is why Srila Prabhupada, most of his lectures, he speaks about coming out of the bodily concept of spirit. Bodily concept of life. Life is spirit made. Body is spiritless even now. Body is spiritless. But can we see like that? No, we see body. Why? Because we project spiritual forms on matter body. Because the matter body is meant and created by Maya to look like spiritual male, spiritual female, spiritual trees, spiritual mountains, spiritual rivers, everything. It is supposed to look like that. And therefore it is doing its work. If you want to live, separate from Krishna. But slowly we understand that these are all imitation, perverted reflection. The real fame, real male form, real female form, real forms of trees, they are all Chinmaya forms. The spirit itself is expanding into that form. Now my spirit has not expanded into this form. Spirit has desired such a form, so material nature has shaped up this form and given. So it's not that we in spiritual life, we are not scientific. We are saying that the modern science is limited in its seeing of truth. So there is a gross reality, there is a chittam reality everywhere, there is a chittam reality is artificial person reality. There is a spirit reality everywhere, in each body. And there is a ego and manas and ahankara, buddhi, a devotee. Krishna intervenes and provides inspiration to an ego. Inspiration means what? Fires up the ego. Inspiration he gives, which you don't have karmically, he inspires you. He can change. So for devotion service, Krishna says, I provide what you have, I maintain what you have and provide what you lack. So not only grossly, subtly, but everything, this Paramatma is active in a devotee's life. That is the meaning of saying that Guru and Krishna takes your karma once you surrender unto him. That means they manage your karma. They manage your suffering, they manage your karmic suffering and happiness. Sukha and dukkha, they manage. They manage it in a way in which now that sukha and dukkha will help you to spiritually progress, which will contribute to wake up the spirit person. Very useful. Dukkha is also very useful for Vaishnavas, for sadhaka, isn't it? Because only by dukkha you develop that vairagya. Only then you realize that every devotee has to get realization that this world is miserable. Though momentarily, many times it appears like this great. Whether it is love, whether it is pleasure, or whether it is money. If you take a small window, it looks as if it is spiritual love, spiritual pleasure. But then immediately it gets exposed. Any questions? Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.